My name is Arshan and today we will do the sixth chapter of your class 7 social science textbook Social and Political Life of NCERT. The name of the chapter is Understanding Media. So students, have you ever wondered about TV programs or the radio programs that you listen, or the newspaper or magazine which do you usually read? Do you surf the internet, students? Have you found something useful about it? Well, did you know that there is one word that is often used to collectively refer to the radio, TV, newspapers, internet, and several other forms of communication? This word is media. In this chapter today, students, we will learn more about the media. We will find out what is required to make it work, as well as the ways in which the media affects our daily lives. Can you people think of one thing that you have learned from the media this week? I am sure you can write or tell a lot of things. Well, everything ranging from the stall at the local fair to the program that you see on TV can be called media. Media is the plural form of the word medium, and it describes the various ways through which we communicate in society. Because media refers to all means of communication, everything ranging from a phone call to the evening news on TV can be called media. TV, radio, and newspapers are a form of media that reaches millions of people or the masses across the country and the world also. Thus, they are called mass media. So, now look at this collage. We can see different forms of media in this collage as well. You can see a concert or a public meeting. You can see a radio station. You can see a satellite as well and a person using a mobile. All these things are example of media. So, with media comes technology. So, with this we are on to the topic of media and technology. It would be probably very difficult for anyone to imagine their life without the media. But cable television and the widespread use of the internet is a recent phenomenon. These have been around us for less than 20 years. The technology that mass media uses keeps changing. Newspaper, television, and radio can reach millions of people because they use certain technologies. We also tend to discuss newspaper and magazines as the print media and TV and radio as the electronic media. Now, why do you people think that newspapers are called print media? Well, as we will learn further, you will find that this naming is related to the different technologies that these media use. For example, the photographs will give you a sense of the ways in which technology that mass media uses has changed over the years and it still continues to change. So, change in technologies or machines and making technology more modern helps media to reach more people. It also improves the quality of sound and the images that you see. But technology does more than this. It also changes the ways in which we think about our lives. For example, today it is quite difficult for us to think of our lives without television or a computer. But television has enabled us to think of ourselves as member of a larger global world. Television images travel huge distances through satellite and cables. This allowed us to view news and entertainment channels from other parts of the world as well. Most of the cartoons that you see on television are mostly from Japan or the United States of America. We can now be sitting in Chennai or Jammu and can see images of a storm that has hit the coast of Florida in the United States. Television has thus brought the world closer to us. With the students, we can realize that media has a very big importance into our lives, and with this much importance also comes the factor of money. So, media and money, let us discuss this as well. The different technologies that mass media use are expensive. Just think about the TV studio in which the newsreader sits It has lights, cameras, sound recorders, transmission satellites, etc., all of which cost a lot of money. Similarly is the example of the studio in which I am sitting. I am using a lot of apparatus, electricity, lights, camera for the sole purpose of making this lecture so that you people can learn and read at your home. Now, in a news studio, it is not only the newsreader who needs to be paid, but also a number of other people who help put the broadcast together. So, this includes those who look after the cameras and lights. Also, we have learned earlier that technologies that mass media use keeps changing, and so a lot of money is spent on getting the latest technology. For example, in the studios, 5 year back we used to use CDs and DVDs, but nowadays we use pen drives and memory cards. Thus, technology is changed, but CDs and DVDs used to cost less, whereas memory cards and pen drives cost more. Due to these costs, the mass media needs a great deal of money to do its work. As a result, most television channels and newspapers are part of big business houses. Now, mass media is constantly thinking of ways to make money. One way in which the mass media earns money is by advertising different things like cars, chocolates, clothes, mobile phones, etc. You must have noticed the number of advertisements that you have to see while watching your favorite television show or while watching a cricket match on TV. The same advertisements are shown repeatedly between each over, and so you are often watching the same image over and over again. As we will learn in the following chapter, advertisements are repeated in the hope that you will go out and buy what is advertised. So, can you people list 3 different products that are advertised during your favorite TV? For example, I can definitely tell that I have seen an advertisement of a milk brand, a chocolate, and also a surf brand. You people can also do something in your home, that you can take a newspaper and count the number of advertisements in it. Now, some people may say that newspaper have too many advertisements. Do you students think that this is true, and why? Try to note down your views into your notebook. Whereas I myself am sure that I have noticed the classified section with advertisements in the newspaper. Moving on to the next very important topic, which is media and democracy. Well, in a democracy, the media plays a very important role in providing news and discussing events taking place in the country and the world. It is on the basis of this information that citizens can, for example, learn how government works, and often, if they wish to, they can take action on the basis of these news stories. Some of the ways in which they can do this: by writing letters to the concerned minister, organizing a public protest, starting a signature campaign, or asking the government to rethink its program, etc., etc. Given the role that the media plays in providing information, it is important that the information be balanced. Let us understand what we mean by a balanced media report by reading these 2 versions of the same news. The first is: crackdown on polluting factories, protesters block roads and disrupt traffic. In this news, the article is suggesting that the protesters are disrupting traffic, blocking the road, and it was a crackdown on the polluting factories. Now, the second bit: closure of factories causes unrest. In this news bit, you can see that why closing of these factories has caused this much unrest and why people are on the road. So, the fact is that if you had read either newspaper, you would only know one side of the story. If you had read the News of India, you would most likely think of the protesters as a nuisance. They are disrupting traffic and continually polluting the city with their factories, leaves you with a bad impression about them. But on the other hand, if you had read the story in the India Daily, you would know that the protests are because a lot of livelihoods will be lost if the factory is closed because the relocation efforts have not been adequate. Neither of these stories is a balanced report. A balanced report is one that discusses all points of view of a particular story and then leaves it to the reader to make up their minds. So, students, writing a balanced report however, depends on the media being independent. An independent media means that no one should control and influence its coverage of news. No one should tell the media what can be included and what should not be included in a news story. An independent media is important in a democracy, as you have learned that it is on the basis of the information that the media provides that we take action as citizens. So, it is important that this information is reliable and not biased. However, the reality is that media is far from independent. This is mainly because of two reasons. The first is the control that the government has on the media. When the government prevents either a news item or scenes from a movie or the lyrics of a song from being shared with the larger public, this is referred to as censorship. There have been periods in Indian history when the government censored the media. The worst of these was the emergency between 1975 to 1977. While the government does continue to censor films, it does not really censor the media's coverage of news. Despite the absence of censorship by the government, most newspapers nowadays still fail to provide a balanced story. The reason for this are complicated. Persons who research the media have said that this happens because business houses control the media. At times, it is in the interest of these businesses to focus on only one side of the story. Media's continual need for money and its links to advertising means that it becomes difficult for media to be reporting against people who give them advertisement or who give them money. Media is thus no longer considered independent because of its close links to business. Besides all these facts, the media also tends to focus on a particular aspect of a story because they believe this makes the story interesting. Also, if they want to increase public support for an issue, they often do this by focusing on only one side of a story. So, with this, we have understood that media plays a very important role in a democracy and setting up the agenda. So, we are on to the topic of setting agendas. The media also plays an important role in deciding what stories to focus on and therefore decides on what is newsworthy. For example, the annual function at your school is unlikely to make the news, but if a famous actor is invited as the chief guest, then the media might be interested in covering it. By focusing on particular issues, the media influences our thoughts, feelings and actions and bring those issues to our attention. Due to the significant influence it plays in our lives and in shaping our thoughts, it is commonly said that the media sets the agenda. Very recently, the media drew our attention to alarming levels of pesticides in cola drinks. They published reports that indicated the high level of pesticides and thus made us aware of the need to regularly monitor these colas according to international quality and safety standards. They did this despite the government's resistance by boldly declaring that colas were unsafe. In covering this story, the media positively helped us focus on an issue that affects our lives and one that we might not have been aware of it had it not been for media reporting. So, there are several instances where the media fails to focus on issues that are significant in our lives. For example, drinking water is a major problem in our country. Every year, thousands of people suffer and die because they do not get safe drinking water. However, we seldom find the media discussing this issue. A well-known Indian journalist wrote of how the fashion week in which clothes designers show their new creations to rich people formed the front page headlines of all the newspapers, while several slums were being demolished in Mumbai the very same week, and this was not even noticed. So, as citizens of a democracy, the media has a very important role to play in our lives because it is through the media that we hear about issues related to the working of the government. The media decides what to focus on, and in this way it sets the agenda. The government can at times prevent the media from publishing a story, and this is called censorship. Nowadays, media closes relationship with business often means that a balanced report is difficult to come by. Given this, it is important for us to be aware that the factual information that a news report provides is often not complete and can be one-sided. We, therefore, need to analyze the news by asking the following questions like, what is the information I am learning from this report? What information is not being provided? From whose point of view is the article being written? Whose point of view is being left out and why? When we will ask these questions by ourselves, we can see what are the motives and the ulterior motives of the news report being shared. With the students, we also know that there are several other medias as well, for example, like social media, and social media advertising is abundant nowadays, and also the local media. So, with this, we are at the end of this chapter, students, and in this chapter, we have learned very interesting things. We have learned about media and why is it called media. We have learned about the media and money involved in it. With media and money, it becomes a reckonable force, and thus media influences our democracy as well. So, we have seen the effects of media in our democracy. And also, we have seen the setting up of agendas by the media in our democracy and how can we keep a check on media as well. So, now we are on to the exercise part. And by practicing these exercises, we can improve our knowledge of this lesson and chapter. So, let us go on to the first question. The first question is, in what ways does media play an important role in a democracy? To answer it, students, media plays an important role in a democracy. It provides news and discusses events taking place in a country and the world. It is on the basis of this information that we learn how the government works. Media also criticizes the unpopular policies and programs that the government takes. Media forms public opinion. Media acknowledges us with several current issues. Media provides awareness among masses. So, the second question is, can you give this diagram a title? What do you understand about the link between media and big businesses from this diagram? So, students, a title to the shown diagram may be given like this: media and the big business houses. Big business houses attract people to promote their products through media. Hence, it is the best and the cheapest means to reach people at large. So, now we are on to the third question. And the third question is, you have read about the ways in which the media sets the agenda. What kind of effect does this have in a democracy? Also provide two examples to support your point of view. So, students, to answer this question, media creates public opinion on a democracy. It can build a public opinion in favor of or against any issue. Today, it has diverted from its real agenda. Instead of lighting public issues, it is now concentrating upon cheap agendas like fashion shows, child falling in a pit, etc. So, I am sure you might have understood the gist of this question, and please try to write this answer into your own words in your notebook. Now, on to the next question. As a class project, decide to focus on a particular news topic and cut out stories from different newspapers on this. Also, watch the coverage of this topic on TV news. Compare two newspapers and write down the similarity and differences in their reports. It might help to ask the following question: what information in this article providing? What information is it leaving out? From whose point of view is the article being written? Whose point of view is being left out and why? So, students, you are suggested to do this project by yourself at your home. Try to take the help of your parents or your immediate teacher. I am sure you will be able to do these questions with ease. So, students, by completing these exercises, we are at the end of this chapter. I am sure that you have learned very important usage of media and the types of media and different forms of media and its influence on our democracy. Try to implement this knowledge in your real life as well. So, I will take your leave now and we will meet next time with some other very interesting topic. Till then, bye bye.